7 o'clock. We're gonna get started. Oops. Hey, are we on?
Yep. Yeah, we're recording.
All right. Can we flip it to not show Mike?
Oh, yeah.
To show the, okay, okay.
Mike's not in the room.
All right. It is 7 o'clock. We will get started. And we will call the meeting to order. We're going to flip the camera. There we go. And our first thing is our flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call. You're running around. It's too dark, I'm not gonna be able to see. Oh.
Ms. Bullenbacher.
Here.
Mr. Chandler? Here. Mr. Choate? Here. Ms. Compatello is absent. Mr. Hof?
Here.
Mr. Oliverio?
Here.
Ms. Bukalnik is absent. Mayor Perry?
Here.
Solicitor Corbel?
Here.
Engineer Keenan?
Here.
Director Tedesco? Here. Chief is not here with us today, and myself. We do have a quorum.
Great. All right, our consent agenda. So we have the council meeting minutes from September 11th, the bill list from September 24th, and all of the department reports. These are all in the OneDrive for council to review. So looking for a motion to approve the September 24th, 2025 consent agenda, pending bill list approval by the borough president, manager, and treasurer.
So
Okay, Ms. Bullenbacher,
Second.
Mr. Chandler, any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. All right, public comments on agenda items. At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue appearing on today's agenda. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Comments on non-agenda items will be taken at the end of tonight's meeting. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is our assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. We have. Thanks. Okay. Okay, Mary Luxbacher.
I don't think it's an agenda.
Oh, for the, that's, okay. Vincent Regani? It is? Okay, come on up.
It's a little long, so I'm able to pass around a letter too.
Yeah, sure.
Yes. We're all the same. Thank you.
Yes, say something.
Hello.
Is it on? Okay.
So Vincent Regani, 57 Warren Street. My name is Vincent Regani. I purchased my home on Warren Street. This is in regard to the sewer separation project. I purchased my home on Warren Street in 2022. This is my only and primary residence. I'm glad that the borough is investing in the improvements for the Broadhead project, and I look forward to seeing the roads and sidewalks renewed. While I cannot speak on behalf of all the Warren residents, I believe I can say there has been quite a lot of confusion around the project. For a project that has been in the works and planned for over a year, I'm disappointed in the lack of communication and transparency now that the project has commenced on Warren. On September 2nd at 12:37 p.m., I contacted the borough and spoke for roughly a minute with a gentleman. I explained that I was seeking more information on the project and its impact on Warren Street. I was told that the information would be available on Savvy Citizen and that an engineer would call me back. I never received a return call. On September 8th, a representative from Marante Contracting knocked on my door with the resident notification letter dated July 21st, 2025, nearly 50 days earlier. The letter stated the project would commence as soon as July 28th, with the work scheduled Monday through Friday from 7 to 5, and occasional Saturdays in the borough with borough approval. It also noted that the police would be contacted for vehicles parked in posted areas. I called the phone number on the letter on September 12th at 2:33 p.m. and left a detailed message requesting clarity on the project and street disruptions. Again, I received no return call. Construction then began on Monday, September 15th. I only knew this because I watched the September 11th council meeting on YouTube where it was stated that once again that updates would be posted on Savvy Citizen. I checked Savvy Citizen daily and received no text alerts or updates of any kind on this project. For those of us without off-street parking, this lack of communication is more than frustrating. Cones were placed with no explanation of whether it meant no parking at all times, no parking during work hours, or if towing would be enforced. I personally knew the work hours from the letter, but not all residents may have received it, especially those in the Park Warren apartment complex across from my residence and another apartment building further down the street. On Tuesday, September 23rd, I spoke with a gentleman from Marante Contracting who explained that some neighbors had ignored the cones completely, which frustrated the work crews. I firmly believe that this could have been avoided with proper signage had been placed around the cones, clearly stating the dates for when vehicles were prohibited. During that conversation, I also learned that the work was only being done Monday through Thursday. This directly contradicted the letter I received. I was told I could park in front of my residence after work concluded on Thursday and throughout the weekend. That critical detail was never communicated clearly to residents. Instead, cones still sit on the street, one of which says no parking 10/28/24 to 11/24/24. That signage is not only inconsistent with what we were told, but also adds further confusion for residents trying to comply. Looking ahead, I'd like the borough to take the opportunity to address longstanding parking challenges on Warren between residents not maximizing street space and overflow from nearby apartment buildings on the street. Parking is already a daily challenge. When the new road is paved, I strongly urge council to explore painted parking lines. For instance, in front of my home, 3 vehicles can comfortably fit, but without striping, usually only 2 park there. Marked spaces would help maximize capacity, create order, and reduce tension among residents. I support the project and I'm glad to see improvements happening, but residents deserve better communication during the process, especially with how major the project is. Right now, the lack of transparency has left me frustrated, and that is something that can and should be corrected. Thank you.
Thank you. Very fast. I didn't think you would make it. Thank you. Yes. Does anybody want to address?
Yeah, first, I want to apologize. Larry did send me a notice that I failed to get on Savvy Citizen before the Warren project went out on, I think it was like the 13th or 14th, so that was my mistake. But because of your letter and your comments on Facebook, we are going to create this is a very fast moving project and it has already changed several times since it started. And so we're going to create a page on the website that is dedicated to this where people can go to, and we're going to repeatedly put out savvies that point people to it. When they started this project, we thought they were just going to go from the end and work their way forward. They have now, as you know, have indicated that they're going to work with multiple crews. So they have a crew on Crafton Boulevard and now they have a crew on Warren. We were going to have a meeting with all the folks on Warren once they got to the full reconstruction phase. We weren't that concerned about this portion of it, but we thought notices went out. So that's my mistake, and we're going to be adding to that. So I fully understand. This is always one of the most difficult parts in this work because stuff happens and there's like seven different people that know about it, or I'm told, and then Larry's told, and then a foreman is told, and there's a lot of different chains. So I take responsibility for you not getting notified, and we'll make sure to do better with that moving forward.
And one of his requests was painted lines on that street. I believe Warren is one way. Is it both ways, up and down? Okay. Parking, okay.
I'm not aware of whether that is permitted under, I would have to look into that. I don't know. We don't have that anywhere else in the borough, so I would just have to look into whether that's possible. Is there any legal reason that wouldn't be?
We do have that in some places in the borough.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Oh, we have it on Station Street. Of course,
Yeah,
right.
hello.
Right.
We would just typically have the engineer take a look at it, make sure that it's complying with all
Right.
appropriate laws and regulations as it relates to traffic impacts studies.
Well, and as I'll say in my statement, it's going to be difficult for everybody around the borough. But in the end, Warren is a really bad street. And looking to make the improvements as the benefit of the Broadhead project is definitely there. And it's going to be pain. We're going to have pain throughout the borough for detours and everything else. So appreciate you bringing those things forward. So please continue to do so. Okay. Next we have Greg Wozniak.
Hi, Greg Wozniak. Anyway, I have just a comment about the budget meeting. The spreadsheets and all that are really well done. I just wanted to know and so that the public would know where they can be found. So that the public can actually look at those and then come back. John, you had asked for public comment. So if you could let us know let the public know where those could be found. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg.
Yep. We'll update, make sure that the proposed budget, the draft proposed budget is on the finance page.
Will it be that in our workbook?
Yeah, we'll do the whole workbook. It'll be locked, so you can't change it, and that way, but yeah.
Let's hope. Yeah.
And I will have to periodically update it, so it'll probably be, what I'll do is I'll put it on tomorrow and then I'll update it after every meeting. That way it's not updated in between.
And the recording of this the budget meeting will be there with the presentation too. Okay. All right, Justin Marks.
Hey folks, Justin Marks, 31 Oregon. Yeah, the budget meeting, glad to see that taxes are going to hold tight again this year, at least for what's been proposed up to this point. The only thing that gave me a little pause and made me raise my eyebrow was the comments about maybe shifting some of the costs to the bond fund. Most of it looked okay. I just want folks to remember that typically we're taking, when municipalities take out and use bond funds, it's for really large capital projects, right? Things that are going to outlast me and maybe need to be replaced when my kids or my grandkids are in charge of things. So just consider that whenever we're moving that money around, because things like the sewer pipes make perfect sense to me. Things like a cement floor that'll probably outlive me, perfectly fine, or building a new building for the public works, makes sense. Just some of the smaller things, just be aware that, should be careful with how we spend money out of that fund. That's it.
Okay, great. Does anybody want to address Justin's comments?
John, apparently my item is on
Oh, okay, okay. Well,
when you're.
okay. Any comments for Justin at all?
No, I think just that every item on there was a capital expense, so it's typical for a bond fund. Probably the smallest thing on there is the cameras, but they were included in larger projects, so.
Yeah, there, as far as, one can really consider, it is about finishing out the project and then protecting that property that we've spent the bond money on. And it improves public safety, particularly the cameras. I know I came in, right at the tail end of this particular one. But, I know that we're talking about those and how important they are to public safety and to protecting our investments.
Yeah. Okay. Mary Laxbacher.
Your next book.
Street.
Pardon me?
Street.
71 Dinsmore. Just quickly with the cameras, I too totally agree, and also the parks, I think is very important. They really are very covered areas, and I think that would be actually having them in the parks is actually a really good idea. Apparently there was a meeting yesterday talking about some of the things, including the circle. And as I know, you've all seen my rear end in the circle. So I did want to kind of give a little history about the circle. The circle was 100% completely redone and designed by Gateway Engineering. And just so, I don't know, some of you may not know that, but it really was totally redone, including new dirt. I mean, everything new, had a irrigation system in there and everything like that. So the design, it's called a perennial garden, mainly so that there doesn't have to be lots of maintenance all the time. And right now, yes, it needs maintained. It's the end of the season, things that are dying off, and we definitely at some point would be in there doing that sort of thing. Does it need improvements? Of course it does. Everybody needs improvements. Everything needs improvements over the 10, 15, 12 years that stuff has been in there. But to totally deconstruct, I'm going to disagree with you on that. I mean, I think we have a perennial garden that people are now trying to get. I visit a lot of places. I'm in different countries, in different areas all the time. People are trying to get what we have. It's also a certified garden, and you guys approved that years ago to be a certified garden. So I just think you should be aware of that. I think people should be aware that it is almost 100% maintenance free, except for the volunteers that go in. If Public Works wants to start, I would not mind. I just had hip replacement. My body would thank you. So it's the kind of thing that I just think more people should be aware of. Having a garden where every single season you have to plant new stuff, that's expensive. This garden is right now 100% free. Everything in there is from year to year now because we've spread it. We've been able to, divide plants, make it look good. Like I said, it was professionally designed. We really haven't gotten too far out of their design. We've removed things at times. Things have died. But we try to replace with what was in there before. So I just want people to be aware of that. I would love to see the money that apparently there's a grant. Even look up on Crafton Boulevard. They're trying to repeat what we've done. It has the perennials, the grasses, the things so that you aren't having to maintain all the time. And that to me is important. And I would love to see that money. Don't just gut something that doesn't need gutted, doesn't need improved. Yeah. But utilize this money for really enhancing other areas of the borough. Really the front of the borough building. I hate to tell you, there's a lot of weeds out there. And for that to be redone, and that to me, that would be more just important. So that's all. I just wanted to, as someone who's been involved with that for a long time, just kind of give you the rundown that wasn't just a bunch of old ladies out there putting plants in. That was professionally designed. Those plants were professionally bought, and the maintenance is at times the best we can do. So that's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Mary. Any responses to that? Yeah, Mike?
Best for me. First of all, Mary is not an old lady. Let's start there. Number two, I really appreciate Mary's context around this. That was wonderful. We've kind of touched on this conversation in tree commission a little bit, haven't really deep dived onto it, but the broader context is, yes, it's associated with the DCED $325,000 pedestrian improvement grant for the historic center of Crafton. One of the options that's been kicked around is, do we want to put some of that money into improving the aesthetic of the roundabout? We don't know what that means yet. It's just a general question. So it could be along the spectrum of a full-blown, rehab of all the plants and a total redesign to something a little lighter touch. We haven't deep dove into that conversation yet. So I appreciate Mary's comments on that. Tree commission will keep touching the topic, and it'll continue to be a conversation.
And Mary's on the tree commission, so that obviously will be a part of it. I think one is around the safety of that area and trucks going around, so preventing trucks from going into that circle. It's going to get, yeah. There you go. Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
I can show you the job.
Yeah.
So I don't know if just by taking plants out, you're gonna improve that. I mean, it could be a dangerous area. So having all that there kind of like helps sometimes.
Yeah, that wasn't the intent it's just looking at the safety around there. And I think that's what
Correct.
I didn't attend the planning commission meeting, but that's what they were talking about.
Correct. Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right. That's our list. Anybody online, please raise your hand. All right. Cody Sheets.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Just want to talk, speak on the zoning draft that was sent back from Allegheny County. and it's very well known how I feel about certain aspects of this draft. And so just once again, going to repeat that I think it's unreasonable to have no square footage requirements. I think it's unreasonable to have and mildly reckless, depending on the outcome, to not have any impact analysis done. Although developers will be required to do impact analysis on their building, when you have a small cumulative build on your infrastructure, that is more what I'm talking about, and that affects infrastructure in a broader way than just one building, right? When somebody gets something built, they're not getting an impact analysis for the entire borough. They're getting the impact analysis for where they're at, the area they're in, which lines they're tied to, all that kind of stuff. And so and even when they're getting impact analysis done, they're not doing it on parking, or on certain aspects of parking throughout the entire borough. They're not doing it on public safety. So I'm just any motion to approve this draft tonight. I'm opposed to as a resident, and I just generally think that again, taking spaces down to 1 to 2.5 times the size of a jail cell is not dignified living. And you can ask me the question, who am I to choose for what people are willing to live in? And I would respond, who are you to try to dictate what to crunch them into? So thanks.
Right. Any comments or responses?
I
Okay.
think there is a minimum requirement, isn't there? So there's no footage requirement. I believe there is one, isn't there?
There is in the building code, which is why it's best practice to no longer include it in zoning codes. Because building codes limit that you cannot build below about 390 square feet or 400 square feet, which is essentially what a lot of studio apartments are. And so that is, it's not written in the code for the specific reason that it's already in other code. And that's why it's not recommended. There has been a lot of misinformation too, saying that you can build 150 square foot apartments or 200 square foot apartments. That is not true. The smallest apartment based on US building codes is around 390 square feet.
Okay. Anybody else online? Nicole?
So let me get this to work. There we go. You should be live, Nicole.
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to ask where the information that was received back from Allegheny County is posted, not just for myself, but for others. Unfortunately, I'm a full-time caregiver for my father. I have a full-time job and I'm also in school full-time. So I just couldn't find it. I did look, but I'd like to be able to review it. And I imagine if I'm in that boat, then others may be as well. So could you please just tell me where it's posted?
Yeah,
Wait,
I'm sorry.
anything else, Nicole?
Yeah, I'm not sure for how long it's been posted either, but I guess I was wondering what the next steps are, if somebody could clarify. Thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Okay.
Question 1, it's posted on the homepage of the website. You'll see it pretty quick under the news headlines, and it's also on the Planning Commission's page. And then to answer the process question, that is an agenda item, literal bit later on in the discussion.
Okay. Great. All right. Moving on to President's Report, and I mentioned this earlier about construction projects asking for patience. We're just at the beginning. We're in the middle of C20, but at the beginning of Broadhead. So there's going to be lots of detours, roads torn up, parking, movements all around. And again, it's going to take time. Longest project is going through 1 year from now. October of 2026 is the end date of Broadhead. So it's going to be tough. But we're resilient. We'll get through it. All right, Mayor's Report.
All right, so school's been in for almost a month. As many of you know, we have heightened enforcement up there with our the school system has a resource officer that's up there pretty much every morning. Our chief and our officer who is on duty are up there every morning. The principal and others have said things are going well, but I want to advise everybody that the one thing that is being enforced that has not been enforced before is for the school buses, because they cannot pull off of the roadway. They, by state law, they need to be putting their stop signs and lights out, which on when they are loading and unloading students. Therefore, traffic has to stop. So I know that it's quite busy in the morning. Many of us are trying to get to work. If there are a lot of ways to avoid the school. I know I live right there. So my recommendation is, when you can, avoid it. And when you cannot, please be patient and please observe those stop signs and those lights. And I have noticed, because I generally have to go through there in the afternoon, that the traffic can back up and it can take a number of minutes because we have several buses. And it's just, we're now conforming with state regulations, and we have a chief who's very, very concerned about our children's safety. So please be advised.
Okay, I guess your time was up.
Yes, I think my time is up. So I have to say one point.
Okay.
We are doing snow cones over at the community center today with the chief and the library director and myself. We were snow cone mates.
Oh.
Had a great time.
Hey, you're on the clock, Mr. Scott.
Just one quick announcement that there'll be a short executive session following the meeting to discuss a personnel matter. That's all I have.
Thank you. Manager's report, Mr. Price.
Okay, first thing up on my agenda is actually introducing Chris Heck, who is here from the airport Chamber of Commerce to recognize Crafton for being 10-year-long members, I think, right? 10 years?
10 years is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jim. This face might look familiar. Danielle Kikulinski is the branch manager of Dollar Bank and our soon-to-be named chair of our board. So she's a Crafton icon here, if you will. I don't know how many years you've been here, Danielle, but you've always said great things about Crafton. Let me just say, our chamber is a regional chamber. This is your chamber of commerce. We represent 32 municipalities and boroughs, 17 are members, and it's really a pleasure to work with Jim and Mike. You guys are great assets to this community here, and I commend you. I come to these meetings all the time, and let me just say the civility. I've never heard a public official apologize to a resident like you did. That takes a lot, and I really I get a sense that you all enjoy working together, and it's just a pleasure to see this. So I'm only here to say thank you for 10 years of membership with us. We sincerely appreciate it, and we look forward to 10 more with you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Chris. Thank you.
That's for you.
All right.
And thank you.
Thank you very much. I
Thanks.
appreciate it.
All right, Chris. Thank you, Dave. It's nice with it outside.
All right, my next item on my agenda here is the budget workshops. Many of you were here for the budget workshop today, so we are now on to our third one next on the 9th, and those will be held. Reminder for everybody that they were at 6 p.m. before every council meeting for the rest of the year. And I will put that information up, as Greg talked about at the beginning of the meeting, so we'll make sure we get that information up, and the recordings are always up as well. No other updates on that at this point. The discrimination law amendment is my next item. We had this on the agenda a few meetings ago. And we were going to repeal some portion or the main portion of it, but we have now been in discussions with some residents, and we will be We're looking at amending it so that it keeps the meat of the law, but only removes the board, which is really something that at this level is not really something that is easy for a municipality of our size to handle. So we'll be discussing that. We're going to discuss it in committee meetings, and then we'll bring it for possible passage either at the 23rd meeting. So we're looking forward to that. The next thing up for all council members to know is the Civil Service Committee has forwarded their updated regulations to us. So you should all have that in your inbox now. It's also on the OneDrive. So please take a look at that. If you have any questions, let me know. The chief is going to I'm still waiting on the chief to get me comments on that as well. And then the borough, the council will need to approve that before it is moved as the official rules. I'm correct about that, right, Steve? It does need to be approved. Okay.
Yeah, council will have to review it. I'm happy to take a look too before.
Okay.
Yeah,
we'll send it.
I'll do that one.
Okay, I'll send it you, Ruben.
So for this, a question I had was, when was because there were a lot of revisions to it and it's pretty lengthy. When was when was that one put in place?
2013 was the last time that one was
Okay.
fully updated, is my understanding. I don't know,
Okay.
Steve, was it an update after that?
I feel like we did maybe a minor update before the last filing.
Probably.
But since then, there has been several law changes, which is what I'll be looking for and probably what the major changes are to the rules. So about background checks. and
That's
things like that.
Right.
background checks, the hearings.
Yep.
All of the testing and who gets veterans information was all in there. So
Yeah, I know testing has changed significantly. That was one of the things that changed.
For sure.
Okay, well, we will get more information for council for that, for approval at a future meeting. The Trail Study Committee, there's been a number of things happening with this. The Trail Committee reviewed the outline for the final draft trail plan, and discussed what should be in there and what should be the priority projects beyond the two trails that were the focus of this plan, were the focus of this work. So that will be coming out. There is also, just to alert council, and this is a conversation that we'll need to have at an infrastructure meeting, is we have been offered by Amarante, who's doing the Broadhead project, to fill in the top of the slope on Crafton Boulevard with fill that they're taking out of other roadways. It's a very inexpensive way for us to get close to ADA compliance with the top of it. We're not able to do the entire hill with that slope because, or at least not with this fill at this time, because we would be required to get permits for that from DEP because it's into a floodplain. We get into a floodplain issue there, but it could be a very affordable way to take this trail to a much more feasible, usable trail by people with ADA issues. So we'll be getting more information to council about that. The Amarante has been pushing us to make a decision on this, but we're not pressed. We don't have to worry about time like they do. And so we're looking into making a better decision about this and having it be guided. So that is one issue that's on the table, and we might be asking for approval at the next meeting. We're not sure yet. We're trying to get confirmed details on that.
where's the location?
This would be the top of the Crafton Borough, where the hill now currently goes in, where the signage that has been placed right on Crafton Borough, right at the top of the sled
Crafton
riding hill.
Boulevard.
Crafton Boulevard, sorry.
Okay.
Crafton Boulevard, the sled riding hill. That hill that goes down there has a 15% grade at certain points, which is very steep for people with ADA issues, with mobility issues. And the suggestions in the initial suggestions in the trail planning committee were to build some pretty elaborate switchbacks. And most of those turned out to be, well, not most of those, but the one that was probably most feasible, which would have allowed for vehicles to get out of, became very expensive very quickly, over $1 million just for the one switchback to get down into the valley. And obviously that's pretty prohibitive for a trail like that. And this solution would be $60,000 essentially to do basically level it out. It wouldn't be 100% ADA compliant. It would be taking it from a 15% grade to an 8% grade. So it's much more feasible for ADA, and that is what ADA requires for ramps. So it's close to what you would need to be to make it accessible. We would just need to do, if we did that, we would also then need to do the lower portion, which is a smaller portion, but it does enter the floodplain. It wouldn't be able to be done immediately, but we could apply for permits and do it in the future. And to do it for, it still would be much less than it would cost to do all these switchbacks and what they were recommending initially. Yeah, so,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Any other questions on that before I move on? Okay. We'd initially talked about doing October 7th as a public engagement. We now to get the word out and to make it hopefully get more attendance. We're aiming at November 12th as a Wednesday, November 12th as a public engagement for that. And this would essentially be the final public engagement, and then they would be producing the trail after this. So we will be getting information about that out at the end of this week. So we'll have 6 weeks at least lead time for folks to sign up and come to that. So look forward to seeing more information about that come in.
Excuse me, I think you said producing a trail, and I think you mean a report?
A plan, yes,
Yeah.
thank you, thank you, producing a plan, thank you. Great. Yep, so that is moving forward, and then the final meeting of the trail committee will be soon thereafter. After that public engagement, where we review the draft plan and then forward it to council for approval. The next thing on my list is something that we have to do every year. This is pension obligations. Resolution 2025-18 is adopting the 2026 minimum municipal obligation as required by Act 205 for the police and non-uniform employees pension funds. This would essentially mean that we are agreeing to commit to adding $128,000 and $128,583 to the police pension fund and $112,961 to the non-uniform pension fund. These are given to us by the state based on actuarial examination. And so with that, I'd like to get a motion to approve resolution 2025-18, adopting the 2026 minimum municipal obligations for the police pension fund and the non-uniformed employee pension fund.
So
Ms. Mullenbacher,
Second.
Mr. Choate. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? You oppose it, Mike?
No, I was in favor of, sorry.
Okay,
All right.
all approved.
All right. The next thing on the agenda is a wage resolution. This is resolution 2025-19, updating the salaries of specific employees of the borough to be effective August 15th, 2025. This includes a promotion for the borough secretary to office manager. So they will now be known as borough secretary / office manager, and raises for the crossing guards and the police secretary as requested by the police chief and the mayor. Those are that would bring up crossing guards to $15 an hour, the head guard or the head crossing guard to $18 an hour, who manages the other crossing guards, and then the police secretary would be raised to $30 an hour from 27-18, I think. And so with that, I'd like to get a motion to approve resolution 2025-19, fixing the salaries of specified employees in the borough to be effective August 15th, 2025.
So moved.
Mr. Chandler, Ms. Bolenbach, any questions or discussion? Ms. Mayor, did you hear a reason you're making the recommendation for?
The reason I'm making a recommendation is that I hear that as they've been trying to find people who will apply, most of them say that I will not even get out of bed for $13.90 an hour. So we have people leaving to go to McDonald's for more than $15 an hour. So that's why we're recommending them, because we have really good crossing guards. They really care about our children and they do a really fine job.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion passes.
The crossing guards, thank you. So does Barb.
Yep. Okay, and that concludes my report.
All right. Engineers report, Mr. Keenan.
Good evening. First item on the engineer's report is the Broadhead Sewer Separation Project. Currently, construction is along the gravel access off of Crafton Boulevard, backbone portion, and has started at the bottom of Warren Street. Closure of this portion of the trail is still in effect. Reminder that the contractor is planning to add additional crews to the work in other areas. Crafton Boulevard closure and detour are expected to begin tomorrow, September 25th. Savvy post has been sent out for that. Also want to note that the trailhead sign that has been removed temporarily will be replaced and put back in place where it was. The expected project completion is still October next year, 2026.
I have an important question that has been put to me by several people. Nothing's gonna be happening to the sled riding hill in the park, will it?
That is not part of the project at all. It's not in the construction limits. Right now, there's some staging up top there in the gravel areas, but
We have some kids that are worried about losing their sledding hills, so thank you very much for that.
sure they don't want any steeper. Not gonna happen.
They probably like it that way.
We fill from there to the other place to make it.
Yeah. Solicitor says no. No more danger.
It's a great job.
Up our liability insurance.
Thank you.
Next item is the Perrine Street Sewer Project. This update is the same. The eminent domain ordinance was passed previous meeting and is still in the process of obtaining the resolution of taking from the city of Pittsburgh. Next item is Ewing Road. A final estimate was received from Gateway on the road repair and is currently being reviewed. There were some items on there that we want to look into. We were also told that there were some drawings that would complement this estimate. We have not received those drawings yet. We'd like to be able to see where some of these line items are being laid out and how this estimate is being prepared. We're also looking into grant opportunities that are being sought to further fund this if is pursued. One of them is including the multimodal transportation fund. Next item is the C20 sewer separation. This project is currently along Steuben Street, heading towards the West Crafton intersection. The expected completion date did change by 2 days up till the last meeting. I've been telling you it was November 12th. That has changed to November 14th. Moving on is the ponding water at the southeast corner of the Steuben Duncan intersection. Is a long-standing issue, but it is in the works to rebuild the ramp and modify the asphalt in front to provide drainage to the nearby inlets. Contract did agree to the doing this work in regards to the bid prices for the project.
Is this through Tedesco?
Yes.
Okay, so and do you know the timing on this one?
This is going to be done probably more towards the end of the project because that's when the final paving is scheduled to be done. So they want to be able to schedule this work just before that happens.
Great.
In addition to that, crosswalks are also being proposed at all the crossings at the Duncan Steuben intersection. And we did receive compliance and the okay from PennDOT to go ahead and do that. So that would get done after all that paving has been completed. Another issue was the Duncan Avenue paving. The final paving was done on this already. But there were some issues with the drainage on the street, some ponding that was occurring that wasn't there before. We did have a meeting to discuss these discrepancies, and we just want to add that there have been some efforts made to get those resolved. The idea is that Duncan Avenue is relatively a flat street, and when you go to repave a flat street like this, that it requires precise paving to be done. And when we were out there, we noticed that some curb reveals weren't the same as before. Some of the lips in front of some driveways weren't the same as before. And all that is to believe causing these issues. And like I said, it's in the works to get those fixed. Next item is the Public Works Building. The expected completion date is November 7th this year. Recent work includes pouring of the concrete floors, placing the site utilities of Public Works, and some vegetation clearing. All that has been completed. Two tree removals and further vegetation clearing are required for both Duquesne Light and PA American Water to do their work. For Duquesne Light is to bring the three-phase power down from Chartiers Avenue to the new building, which will be interfering with some of the vegetation and trees that are currently there. As well as PA American Water, if we decide to move forward with the water main extension down there, it is best to put that line in the side of the road where a tree currently is, and removing that tree is will be the best option. That way you don't have to put it in the street, and some costs will be saved in that regards. Questions on that? Okay. Next is the Steuben Linden intersection improvements. This project's about wrapping up. Some of the remaining work includes installing the final ADA ramp, which I was told was completed, and replacing of a sunk sidewalk slab that also occurred during construction. An as-built survey was requested by PennDOT, and a work authorization to do that by Gateway has been received, but we are waiting till all work has been completed on the project before we move forward with that. Next, the Linwood Noble Parks. This update is currently the same. It's currently in a cost estimate analysis phase for both the Linwood and Noble Parks that are currently in development to include baseline and proposed improvements to be used to determine good, better, and best options. Next is the Crafton O&M repairs, operations and maintenance. This work is ongoing. Contracts A and C, excavation, spotlighting are wrapping up. For contract A, the work has begun a few weeks ago, and we are expecting, again, a 2 to 3 week completion time. For contract B, manhole lining is still scheduled to begin in October, has not begun yet. And contract C, the spot lining still has approximately 6 repairs remaining to be completed. Next is the 2025 road paving and brick plan priority. Priority areas have been determined for 2025, including brick streets, curbs, infrastructure, and concrete header repairs for brick streets. A site meeting was held to review the repair areas with Gateway that took place this Tuesday on the 23rd. They point out a few additional items that should be included, as some curbs to be reset, as well as raising the manhole at the bar location. The impacted streets included in this include Clearview Avenue from Middle Street intersection and 3 other areas along that road. North Grandview Avenue in front of number 8 and number 10 North Grandview. On Bar Avenue around the manhole in front of 1769 Bar, and on Belvedere Street in front of 82 Belvedere. As far as the road paving for this year, this will be included in the Broadhead Sewer Separation Project. I added on here what is to be included according to their schedule to be done this year and next year. But as a part of that project, the following streets will be impacted: Crafton Boulevard between Broadhead and the trail entrance, Broadhead Avenue itself, Warren Street, Park Street, Coulter, Crennel Avenue, and North Linwood will get brick trench repairs, and North Emily Street and Belvedere will also be impacted. The last item is permit applications, which involves newly received permit applications for street utility work in the borough, and none were received this period. And that concludes the engineer's report. Let's see your thing.
Any questions for Larry? All right, thank you. Community and Economic Development Director's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, everybody. Yes, there was a planning commission meeting last night. The main topic on the agenda was reviewing 3 design alternatives for the DCED improvements. And just to reiterate, this is a $325,000 no match grant from the Commonwealth for us to utilize for pedestrian and beautification improvements downtown. Larry, through some great work and good feedback, put together 3 design alternatives, which now we will shop for essentially a public feedback process about which alternative folks liked best. And so really the first public touch of this was last night. Council will get a firm touch on this as well. Infrastructure Committee reviewed those 3 alternatives, had feedback several weeks ago now, I'd say. Larry incorporated that feedback, so now things are increasing the public feedback process. I'm sure we can post it on the website, associated with some kind of poll as well, if people want to inspect it. There is a poll on the website. It'll be difficult to tell if residents or non-residents are voting, but we can work through that and still give us a sense of what folks like. On September 30th, the Business Improvement Committee mixer is being held on the 30th. And we're going to encourage people to provide feedback for the designs at the mixer as well. So we will, broaden the feedback process and see what people appreciate most. In sum, because the driving cost of the designs are pedestrian scaled lighting, ornamental lighting. Essentially, the alternatives are a design with more lighting and therefore more lighting costs, and a design with less lighting and less lighting costs. And then those cost savings are pledged toward other things. So that's the summary. Council will definitely review the three alternatives, and your feedback is really the most important feedback. So that process is unfolding as we speak. Item B. Okay, so this is the zoning conversation. And I'll outline where we are, and then Steve, the first natural question is going to be about what's the legal process once I'm done talking. So maybe if you go after me, that'd be great. So as you know, the county completed their review of our code. They had 17 comments with some sub-comments in a couple of those. A couple of the comments were very complimentary, so no action was needed. Several comments were regarding typos and incomplete sentences, essentially. A comment or two was about cross-referencing, so all very easy fixes, and de minimis is the term of the day for the zoning code. Our attorneys, the Planning Commission solicitor and Steve, reviewed a discussion around what should be in our subdivision and land development ordinance and what should be in the zoning ordinance. And the determination was keep those things in the zoning ordinance that they suggested for the saldo, because these are technical design provisions that the zoning ordinance covers on everything, and the saldo only covers if the saldo is triggered during an application process. So essentially, it would create a loophole moving those design provisions into the saldo, to put it candidly. So that took a lot of analysis, took a lot of legal analysis, and took some back and forth between us and the county to understand where they're coming from. That was the largest suggestion that we chose not to incorporate from their reviews. Otherwise, there was a signage suggestion about some case law in the Supreme Court that we decided we're on safe ground on, and I believe that was the only other one we didn't fully incorporate. Otherwise, we incorporated all of their suggestions. So what we have is a clean code that is posted on the website dated 9/22/2025, clean code. And the red line of what was revised is also on the website if folks want to really dig in and see the exact verbiage on that. So there are three alternatives that really sit before council for this conversation to move forward, whichever alternative you like. One alternative is you have a clean code. We can move toward the formal public notice process and consideration process, which Steve will outline in just a moment. Another alternative is take a little more time, continue to read it, decide that you're happy with it, and we just kind of give you more time to check it out and get your thoughts. Third alternative is you propose revisions that are the opposite of de minimis, that are significant, and that is totally up to you. If you choose to do that, then it goes back to Planning Commission for their stamp of approval again, and then we send it back to the county for their review once again. And I don't think there's a fourth alternative. I think that pretty much summarizes your options here. So I will be quiet and yield, Steve.
You're right about that. To the extent that there is a more than a de minimis change, you would have to send it back to the county and the Planning Commission. So from a public notice perspective, you would have to put a notice in the paper twice, at least a week apart and at least 1 week before the public hearing. And whatever date you would consider that. The hearing and consideration date can be on the same date or they can be different dates. Typically, I see on minor amendments to the zoning that's usually the same day. But on adoptions like this, most municipalities would opt for a period of reflection before moving forward with adoption. So now the maximum time from the first advertisement until you can consider adoption is 60 days. So once the first ad runs, you have 60 days to get to the finish line. And if you don't, you just have to start the advertising process again, which is not a big deal. So yeah, I usually, when folks are thinking about this, I usually ask you to think about, as Mike did, like sort of where do you want to go? Do you want more time to think about it? If there are any changes, and then once that front end is decided, then we have to outline the process moving forward, and we sort of just back into the adoption date, right? When you are comfortable with what we have, or we get if we make major changes and we send it back to the county. So that's how it usually works. So I don't know where everybody is here, but whichever way you want to go, we can get you there. So I don't know if anybody has a particular question about that, but if not, that's all I have to add.
Thank you. Maybe, can you describe, a public hearing is required? Can you?
Yeah, what's that? What is that like?
Yeah.
Really, it's just an additional public comment period. It says hearing, but don't think of law and order. No, that's not what it is. This is usually the way I do it is I'll put out ground rules in the beginning. I'll just make a quick statement, and I usually run the public hearing for my clients, and we'll ask folks that have are opposed to adoption of the ordinance to come forward, and you'll have your 3 minutes, say what you want to say. Usually that's why they don't want you to adopt it. And then we'll ask for folks that are in support to come forward and talk about what they think is good about the ordinance, why they think you should adopt it, etc. And that's really it. And then if there are no further comments, I usually ask if council has any comments, which gives those folks an opportunity to tell you what they're thinking or what their reaction is to the comments in general, and really not a back and forth, or like John asks if anybody wants to address that question. I mean, we can do that, but we would probably wait till the end and not do it all at once. And at that point, whether if they've decided to sort of digest everything and consider adoption at a future meeting, that's the way it'll go. And if not, then there'll be a motion typically later in the meeting. We do the public hearing at the top of the meeting. So sometimes it's long, people will need to leave, and it also gives them a little time to think about what happened in case they are considering adopting it or rejecting it at the same meeting. So does that make sense? Yep. Okay. Good. All right. Thank you.
So I guess for council, it's Mike had brought up 3 options. One is move forward with our public hearing, take more time to read the code and read the suggestions, or make revisions. Go through there to get everybody's thoughts on that.
I was curious again, Steve, remind me, if we decided to move forward with the hearing, if and when that happens, how much time do we have to have for advertisement? So if we advertise it, how far out does that have to be?
You have to run the first and second ad within 60 days of each other, right? And the adoption has to occur within 60 days of the first advertisement, I think is probably the better way to say that. So it's really, designing this from a timeline perspective, if you guys, I would basically be backing into it. So, I would say, given where we are, that I would think the earliest that we would be looking at this legitimately would be towards the earliest would be the end of November or into December for adoption. And I think, did we reschedule the second meeting in December too, just in case? I know we did.
Second meeting in December's gone.
And
We
we
have Thanksgiving is.
So that, so you all have 5 meetings left for the rest of the year. It's probably a little too aggressive to get this advertised, hearing and voting, again, within the next, month or so. I think that's why I'm thinking more towards the second half of November or beyond would make the most sense from a timing perspective. So long as there aren't major changes or anybody wants to make revisions that are of a material nature, and then we'd have to kick it back to the county, and that'll be after the first of the year scenario. Does that make sense, Mike?
Yes, thank you. And just for clarification, if we were to advertise for a public hearing, we're allowed to move, like if we're reviewing and we catch something de minimis that we're like, oh, maybe that needs further input or needs a revision, we don't have to then re-advertise for the hearing. We could still be making very de minimis revisions or suggestions for consideration up until the hearing. Is that correct?
I would say that, yes, up until the hearing and through the hearing, we could do that. Again, just de minimis. We're talking about the things Mike mentioned, like, oh, there's a typo, there was a missing period, or we misnumbered this section. Things that are not changing, what a setback is, what the minimum square footage of something is, or what uses are in different zones. Those are material changes. The other kind of changes, incomplete sentences, depending on what we're adding, that could or could not be. Typically they would not, but I know I've seen a scenario where we did send it back because it was basically what you were regulating was left out or inadvertently deleted. Yeah, typically it would just be de minimis items, and then we could move forward. Anything major, we'd have to kick it back to the county and the planning commission.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other thoughts?
Of the kind of the 3 paths you talked about for getting this to eventually a vote, which of the steps requires a council vote on? Is it sent to do the public or just do submit for the public hearing? Is that a council vote? I'm not sure about that whole process.
Well, I mean, this council has done, authorizing advertisement, I'll call it, 2 different. I mean, sometimes we've had a vote, other times we've just done sort of a head nod at a meeting after we went through a draft ordinance. So, it's whatever, John and you all want to do here. But I think the only vote that you need to cast is when there is the possible adoption of the ordinances on the agenda, and you have to vote up or down.
Thank you.
Sure.
I'm ready to move on to public hearing. I think we've gone through this over and over and again and again. Yeah, I'm ready to move forward personally.
I mean, if there's a push to have more review, I'm good with that. If there's a push to do public hearing, I'm good with that as well. I'm good either way at this point.
Okay, at least for me, I'd like just some time to read through some of the information. And understand what the county said, what some changes were. I'm looking at the red line. So what I would propose is that we absorb it in the next 2 weeks and then look at, is there any type of discussion or anything? Because I haven't heard anybody say like, hey, I didn't think that this paragraph was right, or this change should be made here. And maybe even for the public, because it's 160,
35.
I added more pages as well, but the changes. It's
actually not too bad, to be honest with you.
To go through it, and then public hasn't had a lot of feedback. We had a couple comments tonight, but not too many. So my recommendation would be to give us all about 2 weeks to just see everything and then do the back end, right? Because would be the back end.
So at the 9th is the meeting, I think. You all can talk about what your reviews, and if there are no material changes, then, I can see us backing into a situation where you may have a public hearing as early as November 13th, perhaps, from an advertising perspective. And then, if you wanted to wait a week or till the next meeting to vote, that would put the vote on the 24th, right? That's a Monday, right?
Right.
That's the one we changed.
Yeah, I'm dying.
Or alternatively, again, you could slide it back and vote. The vote would be December 11th. I think that's budget adoption day too. That would be a busy meeting. If we're looking to get it in before the end of the year, that's what it looks like from my vantage point as just an outline of a possible timeline here. If there are no material changes recommended after your review on the 9th, that's what it would look like. Material changes, then this is going to go until next year.
Okay. Good. Does everybody think?
I think it's reasonable to mull on it for the next week and a half, 2 weeks, and then come up, reconvene and discuss if we want to push it forward.
Agreed.
So what I think we would want to see is what would that timeline look like? So if at the next meeting we decided to move forward, what would that timeline look like? If it was not that meeting, then I guess we would decide, but what would the time periods be? Start advertising, public hearing, all of that.
Right. So if on the 9th you all came together and were happy, or, at least ready to move it forward with no material changes, we would start the advertising. If we're meeting on the 9th, the first ad would probably run by October 23rd. I'd set the public hearing for November 13th. And with your feedback, either adoption the same evening, or, as I mentioned earlier, if we wanted to, again, digest what we've heard, then it would be consider adoption on November 24th.
Could we also do it on December 11th?
You certainly could, yeah.
With the advertising in 60 days?
Yeah, we would.
Okay.
Right, because the meeting in October would be the 9th, and we would not run that first ad for at least a week. We may have to meet the deadlines for the paper. And there aren't many opportunities, as you all know now. So there's like a Friday, is it Friday and Sunday?
Thursday and Sunday.
Thursday, Sunday.
Thursday, you have to advertise.
Like a week, but right. So that's why I'm saying, I think the first ad would be in on the 23rd, because we try to use the Thursday because it's less expensive than a Sunday ad.
Okay.
So that's why I'm saying 23rd with the ad would run, hearing 13th, you could adopt on the 24th of November, or consider adoption again on December 11th. And honestly, I know we've canceled the meetings, the second meeting, but if you did need a special meeting to handle something, there's 20 or so more days left in December to schedule something.
Christmas Day is the day of the scheduled meeting, so.
Yeah, I'm sure most of us aren't busy. So.
No, right. We can all do. Okay.
So that's what I would see as kind of the outline then.
So what I'm hearing is to give us all a little bit more time based on what I'm hearing, and then at the next meeting, make a determination based on our time to read the red line and everything else to decide on moving forward with the public hearing. Okay. All right.
Okay.
We do.
Shall I continue?
Yes.
Okay, item C, 82 Belvedere Conservatorship. I think everybody's aware the RFP for a responsible flipper home fixer-upper is out on the street. It's posted on our website on the homepage. I had a walkthrough two days ago now. I have another walkthrough scheduled tomorrow. The advertising for the RFP, I would characterize as managed advertising. We let our land bank partner know to distribute it to their responsible folks. I believe we posted it on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. It's on our website. I've verbally and emailed the RFP to a number of people. So So the word is out. I'm trying to avoid an onslaught of walkthroughs, which is entirely possible if it really goes big, like if it's posted on the MLS. So I'm assuming we can get enough opportunities here, and you know, I don't know, 2 to 4 bidders out of this, enough for us to choose from and compare against each other. They're due November 12th, so we will continue the process. Item D, the bocce court. I think everybody's aware that there's a generous anonymous donor that wishes to improve Crafton Park's bocce court. And it will be located at the same location as the bocce court. And we, via the construction designs, will fix the drainage problems that are notorious around the bocce court right now. That contract is now executed with the construction firm that will perform the work. We traded a couple emails just prior to this meeting. We will hold a pre-conference on site, so staff will organize around that, make sure we're clear, but they may start as soon as mid-October. So there's, it's not necessarily complicated improvements and it should go pretty quick, but we'll make sure to manage the project so it's as least intrusive as possible on the park.
As we talk, they're going to be very conscious of the trees that are there.
Yes.
To make sure that they're not cutting roots, they're not damaging or anything.
Yes, precisely. So that is the bocce update. I'm afraid I'm at a disadvantage with the LSA grant. Jim, you're kind of the.
Basically, this is the LSA grant for Crafton Boulevard streetscaping that had 3 items on it. One was vegetation along Crafton Boulevard. The other was EV charging in the school parking lot. And the last was street lighting. We didn't anticipate that there was any street lighting left to be done in the areas on Crafton Boulevard, but there actually are 4 locations that we could put street lights, so we're looking into that. And once we get a final update on that, and we also have been working with the school. One of the members of our tree commission, the Shade Tree Commission, is working with the school to basically get some plants through this grant and plant them in front of the school, which is on Crafton Boulevard, which is approved as part of this plan. And so once we get that information, we're going to move forward with putting the EV chargers in and well, going out the bid with the whole project, I guess. So, and there's no match on this, so it's we did try to move this several times with no avail. So that's where we're at. So we're just waiting on. We talked to Gateway this morning, and they are aware now that and so Larry and I need to discuss and get the updates for the lighting, and then we'll move forward.
Yep. Item F, as noted, the business committee is hosting a business mixer on September 30th at Realty Co. Generous hosts of their space. Council is it's on your calendars. Please join us if you're available. I think you will enjoy the conversations that will take place that evening. So please join us. Food and beverage will be there for you. And then 52 Bradford. So I emailed out. Well, how do I want to set the table on this? There was a unapproved tree removal of a public Crafton tree in a tree lawn against the street. That was a mature tree, roughly 32 inches around, roughly 60 feet tall, London plane. This occurred a couple months ago now, I do believe. This is a tree that was examined by our licensed arborist last fall and going into early this year. We paid for tree maintenance pruning for the health of the tree last fall. And the property owner, who lives in Colorado, paid a firm to cut down the tree a couple months ago. So the ordinance stipulates that the tree commission has authority to impose a violation penalty, and concurrence of the borough manager and the arborist sets the amount of what that penalty is. So our arborist appraised the value of the tree, and she sent to me a 12-page informational sheet on how she came to that conclusion. That appraisal was north of $10,000. And just for simplicity's sake, tree commission chose, the team chose to charge them a violation of $10,000 flat, because we didn't want some oddball number like 13,472, something like that. So it's a $10,000 penalty for removing the tree. That is a very steep penalty. An appeal, the property owner intends to appeal this violation. The appeal goes to Borough Council for your consideration. That appeal will take place on October 9th at your next meeting. Property owner lives in Colorado. She'll be on via Zoom. Our arborist is free on the 9th if we want her to join and explain, appraisal methods and interesting things that are more technical in nature regarding trees. So that's a discussion that's coming your way. And so I'm giving you the update now for your consideration in case you have any questions leading up to the meeting. Happy to discuss further.
I will update too. We did receive a letter from the owner and from, I think, 6 or 7 of her renters. So I will forward those all. I have not forwarded those to council yet, so I'll make sure the council has all of those. I think, John, you've only seen her letter.
Right.
Right. I'll make sure that we get all the letters circulated.
Is it a mea culpa letter or is it another kind of letter?
It's asking for forgiveness letter, I think, mea culpa.
She's very respectful.
Yeah.
She's very respectful.
She's for a landlord, she's very well liked.
Yeah.
So
That's, my thought process was that this can really just go that way. I mean, unless they're denying they cut the tree down, which doesn't sound like it. Sounds like we know the facts. So this consideration to council would probably be more along the lines of don't fine me, don't assess a penalty, reduce the penalty, something with the penalty is probably what we're looking at. From our arborist, I would have them available in case, because this matter, we'll probably even have a court reporter here because it is an appealable decision by council. It's like they call it local agency law hearing. So we just want to have everybody lined up just in case we have to go downtown and talk to one of the judges.
It's good to know.
Not anybody related to me though, but
I think that step was if council decides on a decision, they can appeal that and that would go downtown if they don't agree with that.
Yep.
Okay, so to be clear, which all residents should be aware that you cannot remove trees that are between the sidewalk and the curb. Those are borough trees and they cannot be removed. A local business was the company removing that tree and they should have known that. So this is that London plane. If we replace the tree, all of us will be dead by the time it gets to the height of where this tree was. And it was a shade tree and it was in great condition. So that is something we're all going to have to consider for it. But we still don't know the reason it was being removed. Just more of aesthetics. So we will have that at our next meeting.
Thank you.
That's it. All right. Standing committee reports, Finance Administration, Sustainability. I have Mr. Choate, but we have Mr. Oaf, you're on the phone. So either one.
Did Mr. Hope do it?
Is he still there?
Sorry, I'm still here. If Mr. Choate would like to do it, that'd be preferred. I'm currently traveling, so I don't have all of my notes in front of me, and I'm also driving, so it's a safety thing.
Sure. So the first item, the 2025 budget versus actual, the general fund income, 5,005,460, compared to last year of 4,273,821. General fund expense, 4,085,855 versus previous year of 3,687,330. Road fund, income 30,601, compared to last year of 654,155. And the road fund expense 255,004 versus 15,802.
Do you want to read out that the reason, the difference?
Oh, sorry, the road tax moved to the general fund in 2025. That's the difference between the values. Sewer fund income, excuse me, 2,069,771 versus previous year, 1,751,515. And the sewer fund expense, 1,195,591 versus last year of 1,269,089. Then fourth item is the pool financials. You can see this year, we had income of $151,879 and expenses were $245,766. So the borough put the cost to them for $93,877 was the cost to us this year to run the pool.
As a reminder, the pool is something that taxpayers do pay for. So it's not where the income that comes from the pool is countered by the expenses. So the expenses are always higher than that, and that comes through taxpayer dollars to fund the pool. All right, anything else?
That's all.
Very good, thank you, Mr. Choate. Infrastructure and land use, Mr. Chandler.
I may pull a Mr. Hof and ask the borough manager to take care of this. if you
Everybody's
wouldn't mind.
deflecting tonight.
Yeah,
Okay.
there really isn't any, I mean, Mike has already updated on the DCD grant when he talked. The borough building energy audit, we have not done anything with that yet, so there's really no updates. So we'll probably just say no update.
No updates.
Great job, Mr. Chandler, thank you. Communication and Recreation, Ms. Bolenbacher.
Yeah, this Saturday finally is our Fall Fest. It's from 1 to 6. We kick it off with the pup parade. If you want your costume contest, that is a $10 registration fee for your dog. If you would like them to participate, all the money of that is going to the Pittsburgh Air Search and Rescue Canine Division this year. For the Fall Fest itself, we have music featuring the Mingo Creek Band. We have 5 food vendors and the Back Alley Brewing beer vendor. Last time I checked, we did a little over 30 vendors, but that may have increased. We also have for the kids, face painting, bounce house, inflatable obstacle course, kids crafts, touch a truck experience, and lawn games. So there's a lot going on. Looks like the weather's gonna be beautiful too, so hopefully Pittsburgh won't change its mind and we'll have a lovely Saturday. One thing I would like to add, we do need to put a motion out there to lift the dog ban for the day. So people can actually bring their pup for the contest. It's not much of a contest if you can't bring your dog. So I'd like to make a motion to lift the ordinance for one day, so everybody's dog can come to the park. Can I do that?
Yeah. We all have to agree.
Yeah, so it's a de minimis thing. It's not spending money, not a contract. So we would just have to make a motion to amend the agenda, right? Once that happens, so then make that motion to suspend it. And then Jim will have to post an amended agenda.
Yeah.
With including these 2 motions by the end of the business day tomorrow.
Big motion to amend the agenda to add a motion to lift the ban for the dogs for the day.
So moved.
Saturday, September 27th.
Mr. Chandler?
So moved.
Mr. Choate? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. You may amend the agenda.
Then do I make the motion now then, since I amended? Okay, then now I'd like to make that motion to lift the ban for the dogs on September 27th for Fall Fest.
So moved.
Mr. Chandler?
Second.
Mr. Choate? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes.
All right, from there we have Spooktacular Mini Golf is happening through October and Fridays and Saturdays from 7 to 9. It's $2 a round. And we also have our Halloween Mini Golf Pop-Up. It's a 21 and over event that will happen on Saturday, October 11th from 7 to 10. That will include, it's BYOB, but there will be a food truck, there'll be music, there'll be classic horror films and things like that. There will be prizes for the best single costume and the best couples costume. You can pre-purchase your golfing tickets at $8 per person on our website, or it's $10 at the door. Also coming up, we have our community free swap on Saturday, November 8th. That is going to be from 9 till 2. 9 to 10 will be the time you can drop off your items. And then 10 to 2 is the actual swap itself. Anything that is not taken by the end of the day will be either recycled or donated. And then from there, we have Celebration of Lights, Saturday, December 6th. More details to come on that. And we are still looking for houses for our holiday house tour. That is Sunday, December 14th. If you would be interested in showing off your beautiful Crafton home, please go to our website and let the rec board know. As always, the rec board is also looking for volunteers for the end of the year and beyond. So you don't have to volunteer for anything in particular. Let them know that you would like to be a volunteer. They will reach out to you during events, give you the opportunity. You can say yes or no. You're not required to if you say you'd like to. You can pick and choose. Ongoing events this Saturday will be our last yoga in the park. It'll be 10 a.m. As always, it is free to anybody who would like to come. We have open gardening hours at our community garden. That's through late November. That's on Saturdays from 9:30 to noon and Tuesdays from 4 to 5:30. So come work in the garden and then do some yoga. And there's always ongoing things going on at the library and things like that. So I would just refer you to our community event on our website. And if anybody has any questions, then that is the end of my report.
Did you talk about the newsletter?
Talk about the newsletter.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay.
We're actually reviewing the potential final draft for the newsletter. So we're making sure our T's are crossed and I's are dotted. So once we do that, then we'll get it ready for distribution.
Okay.
Now,
That's it. All right. Board Commission recruiting. So we have our current openings are the Civil Service Commission, a 6-year term. We have one opening and that expires in 2031. So anybody interested can go to the Crafton website and apply. And we also have upcoming positions, which are the Zoning Hearing Board. We will probably move this to current because they do expire at the end of this year, which gives the required amount of time to start recruiting for those positions. Current members, of course, do have to reapply. And then everybody else, of course, in the public can apply for those seats. Then in 2026, we will have more openings for the ones that expire for 2026. COG, Ms. Bolenbacher.
we did have our first meeting since the summer break last Thursday in Bridgeville. It was mainly housekeeping, nothing too much, although a lot of neighborhoods are having some really cool fall fests like we are. So I would recommend looking out there to some of our locals like Carnegie and Collier Township, places like that. And our next meeting will be Thursday, October 16th at 6:30 in Ingram. And that's it. That's all I got.
Okay, great. Right, community announcements. We have our next council meeting. It's Thursday, October 9th, 7 o'clock. 6 o'clock is the budget workshop. Fall Fest with all the vendors and kids events and band is this Saturday, 1 to 6. We do have employment opportunities for part-time crossing guards at Crafton Elementary with a new rate of.
And maybe we'll get it.
You're right. Okay, so we definitely need applicants for that. Mini golf will be open starting next week. Yeah, in October, 7 to 9 for $2. And then, of course, Halloween in about a month on October 31st between 6 and 8. Police and Fire Department will be on patrol for those days. We spoke a little bit about shade trees. For anyone interested, the Shade Tree Commission is looking for homeowners that would like a shade tree planted in their front yard. That is, there is no cost. Public Works will be planting those trees, and the borough does pay for them through the borough funds through Shade Tree. That would be typically a native tree that would be put in your front yard where a shade tree would typically be, a street tree would be. So you can go to the website and do that. They will be planted hopefully in November this year. Possibly last year was December due to the weather. Any other community activities? At this time, citizens may address the Crafton Borough Council on any issue. Only residents and taxpayers of the Borough of Crafton will be permitted to address the council. Speakers will be permitted to speak for a maximum of 3 minutes. Groups of people will be required to designate a spokesperson to represent them before the council, who may speak for a maximum of 5 minutes. Council has the option to respond or not at the end of the address. The solicitor is our assigned timekeeper. Please state your name and physical address for the record. So, anybody want to speak?
Did you sign up? No, I didn't sign up.
Yeah, there's no signs. Go ahead.
Hi, everyone. Go on.
Probably isn't. It goes up. Just hold it. There, yeah. Green light means on.
Okay, that sound good, guys?
Yep.
Okay, Reese Smith, 58 Coulter Street. Regarding the discussion about the zoning ordinance, I'd really like to encourage you guys to proceed with caution with scheduling when you guys intend to vote on that. And I would like to encourage you guys to maybe schedule that vote for after, like not just after the election, but after members are sworn into the council. So I know for a lot of citizens in the community, something that's been like a big issue in the borough council race for them is the zoning ordinance. And so I think scheduling the vote sort of before people may or may not be sworn in, depending on what the outcome of the election is, sort of scheduling it in that in between where it's like after the election before new members sit, if there are any new members. So I guess because of retirements, there will be some new members, but I think it would leave, well, no matter what, members of our community are going to be upset and not like the outcome of the vote. Either way that it could go, people are going to be upset. But I think sort of doing it before new people may be sworn in might make people more upset than they might otherwise be, especially if they view the election as their opportunity to sort of have some more feedback into the rezoning process. So I just encourage you guys to sort of take that consideration when you're setting what meeting you guys want to vote on this. So I just don't want to see people be more upset than they otherwise might need to be. So thank you.
Anybody want to respond? Yeah, I'll respond. I think saying that people that are currently on council won't make a decision based on what's best for the community is not a good, and you can't respond. Yes.
We're gonna respond to that.
But I think we are required, regardless of when our terms would end, to make a responsible decision. And I am very confident that this council can make a responsible decision based on the community versus waiting for people that may or may not be here for next year. So our obligation when our term is here is to make responsible decisions that are right for the community. So that's what. Anybody else wants to respond? Okay. Okay. Anybody else? Richard.
Good evening and thank you. My name is Richard Dixon. I'm with at 1761 Crafton Boulevard. When it was brought up in a budget workshop meeting earlier, there was a couple line items, a couple were older, and one is the flooring to the police station. I respectfully request that move forward. I know the mayor has been working on this and it's something she's been out there publicly with, and I think this is also to provide the integrity and structure of that building as well. And I think keeping our men and women safe who work in this borough building should be a top priority as well. But I just ask that the council consider moving forward on this and keeping that and moving forward on it. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Richard. Any comments? All right. Okay. Right. Anyone else? Okay.
You have people on this.
Yeah. Anyone online, please raise your hand.
Nicole.
Nicole?
Hello,
Hello?
can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
So Nicole Curvin, 184 South Grandview Avenue. I did have a chance to review the county's comments, and comment 3 congratulates us on the elimination of minimum lot standards in the MU and CTOD districts, which encourages, this is quoting them, denser development, redevelopment opportunities where they were previously not permitted. So this makes the intention of the code very clear, which makes questions about how to promote healthy development all the more important. So related to that, I have 5 questions. that could be relevant to revisions. And before the code was forwarded by council, I asked the consultant, Jenny Easton, the following questions. I believe she sent council a memo which was not reviewed before the vote. But my first question is, I have not seen that memo, and if there was anything relevant in it, I'd love to know what she said. My second question is, how can we ensure we are promoting best practices for addressing climate change? In other words, are there any best practices missing that promote tree canopy, green space, green building standards, heat mitigation, or planning for increased stormwater or severe weather events? Third question is, what requirements are in place to ensure that new developments benefit and do not harm the community? Fourth is, can we ensure that small businesses won't be pushed out and avoid gentrification of the business district and residential areas? How can we avoid displacing and pricing out residents? And fifth, related to the removal of parking requirements, what processes are in place to prevent and address oversaturated parking, especially with new developments? As residents have said, we already have oversaturated parking in some areas. I know that generally studies support the removal of parking requirements, but each implementation has its own special context, and I think it's worth proactively discussing any potential pitfalls, including, for example, increased competition for existing street parking, how we'll ensure continued access to public transit services to prevent congestion, especially given Pat Transit's cuts, and negative effects on property values if parking does become scarce. Thank you.
Anybody want to address those questions?
Can I finish the sentence that Nicole was reading?
Yeah.
So she is absolutely right. So she cited the complement within the county's review. So let me just read this verbatim from the county's review. The elimination of minimum lot standards in the MU and CTOD districts preserves the existing walkable context of much of the borough's commercial center and allows compatible infill while encouraging denser redevelopment opportunities where they were previously not permitted. So what the county is saying is this zoning code preserves the character of Crafton. That's the purpose of that comment. Our current zoning code does a poor job of preserving the character of Crafton. So just wanted to finish that sentence for Nicole. And I was busy looking this up, so I did not write down the other questions.
Does anybody want to address those? I think a lot of them have been talked about at length at prior meetings also. Okay, anybody else online? All right, with that, it is 8:37. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.